Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I am the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ film festival. We are co-sponsoring a great film this weekend called This Time. We have the director and producer of the film, Robert Vaughn, as well as Charles Martin Smith and Jennifer Gibson, who are in the cast and are producers as well. The film plays Saturday night at 7 p.m. at Outfront Theater Company, and there are screenings around the country at festivals, other places. Let me read a brief description and then we're going to jump into some questions. When closeted teenager Grace inherits her deceased father's journal, she discovers cryptic clues uncovering his secret life. Now, to fulfill his dying wish, she must blackmail an alcoholic hearse driver to race her cross country to attempt a long shot rendezvous with her father's friend, Liza Minnelli. Again, thank you all for talking to me today. And I'm looking forward to our audiences here in Atlanta and other places to see this beautiful film. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To be here.
Let's just sort of go, Robert, Charles, Jennifer, and talk about how you all came to this project. What attracted you to it?
Well, so we developed this. Jen, spoiler alert, Jen and I are married.
Okay.
So yeah, so we developed this. We wanted to do something with some meat on the bones. We've had friends, family members in the community that could have used allyship. We started looking into the stats on all of this stuff. Trevor Project. If an LGBTQ youth has just one adult in their life, see them and celebrate them for who they are, the suicide rate drops 40%. So lucky for me, my brilliant wife who's also a director, was developing a project at Netflix with Allie Jennings, the writer. Allie Jennings is this brilliant 29-year-old queer writer from LA. And I started talking to Allie, and we have a 9-year-old daughter, Jen and I, and we thought, well, we knew we kind of wanted to do a road trip, and we wanted to do a story of allyship. And it just made sense that I would bring the father and Allie would bring the daughter, and I would bring this side of the equation and she would bring the other. So that's sort of how it came to be, just sort of with this wanting, kind of this knowing that guys that look like me need to do more, period, full stop. But yeah, that's sort of how it started. I'll kick it to Jen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been at it since the beginning because, living with the director, at first I really thought I was an ally, so I thought, oh, making an allyship film is great. And then we actually almost got a little deterred because some people did not take that well to two cis het folks like Rob and I making a film that they considered a gay story, which I, respect that opinion. But we're making an allyship film. So there was a minute where we thought, are we doing the right thing? And we decided, yeah, we are, because obviously this conversation hasn't been had yet in a way that people have heard, because it is still a little bit jarring. And once we started making the film, everyone in the cast and crew, and we did prioritize hiring folks in the community that were to us LGBTQIA+. And everybody who was in our cast and crew just kept saying, like, wow, I wish I had this movie. Wow, I wish there was something like this, because it goes to both sides. They could show their parents, but they also want to watch it with their friends. So,
yeah. And the making of the film, to your point, the making of the film, Jem, became an allegorical sort of study in and of itself. Oftentimes, what if the making of the film becomes self-reflective of the film itself, or vice versa, right? So, it really was like kind of an exercise in allyship together with the cast and crew. And I'll let Charles jump in and tell you how I roped him with the lasso to get him into this event.
He did. Now, well, Rob and I are old friends. We go back longer than we'd care to imagine, I suppose, but we've known each other for years and have worked on other projects together before. So when Rob told me that he and Jen were working on this, and I found it really interesting, and then he wanted me to come in and help out and be an ally in the making of the movie, which of course I was happy to do. It's such the kind of story that needs to be told. and I was delighted to have a chance to be asked to be part of it.
That's great. Robert, can you sort of talk a little bit about Grace and all that Grace is going through right now?
Yeah, I mean, this was something that Allie, brought a lot of personal experience to it. But here's something that I've thought about a lot, just sort of in doing the screenings and all of that, which is the amount of violence on the LGBTQ community, and I don't just mean physical.
Yeah.
I mean emotional. I mean psychological. And some of that oftentimes becomes internalized, and then people act out on themselves. And so it's a coming of age story, but in this shitstorm, right? Of all this, guys like me coming of age, it's Catcher in the Rye. It's not the same as what the kids in this community are going through. And I just yeah, I literally, the word violence came to my mind because I think it's all three of those things. I mean, yes, of course, there's the bullying. There's Next Benedict in Oklahoma being beaten to death by three girls in a bathroom, and we wanted to say something, but I mean, I coming of age is hard enough, right, for any kid.
Exactly.
But imagine doing it with those headwinds, societal headwinds against you. And I found, with the Trump administration, not to completely derail this, go Kamala, but the voices kept getting louder. It was like this last gasp, or I thought it was a last gasp, Jim. I hoped it was, but I don't think it is. I think it's something that's been around forever. I was born in Oklahoma, and I saw, people that were educated but provincial, and they inherited their parents' beliefs, and that cycle was never broken, and they had homophobia and racism and all of that. So I just thought, what Grace is going through, I couldn't imagine. And we wanted to we were trying to tell that story with Allie's incredible voice, and illustrate it in a way that Jen has called it edutainment.
Yeah.
And if you can sort of
I did not coin that. I would love to say it was me, but I read it somewhere.
Yeah,
well,
but
you brought it into the conversation.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I hadn't
Charlie.
heard it, but we didn't want to be didactic. We just wanted to tell a very universal story, coming of age, father-daughter story, but just in the midst of the shitstorm that these kids are dealing with every single day.
Exactly. Charles, can you tell me briefly about Red, and then Jennifer, can you talk about Anne?
Well, I thought it was a kind of a stroke of genius when Allie and Rob were and Jen were starting to develop the script to pair her with the most unlikely opposite kind of character, to take teenage Grace and to put her together with this very embittered Vietnam veteran alcoholic, a man who really has nothing in his life, nobody that he cares for, that put him together with this young woman and take her and go together with her on this journey.
I think we lost Charlie.
I think it was just a great piece of story construction. Again, the point is to make an entertaining film, a film that brings people along, that is emotional, that has them laughing and cheering at the end, and not to be doing a lecture piece, but to create a good, honest, entertaining, wonderful movie that has these themes and these messages.
Okay, great. Jennifer?
Well, Anne was really difficult for me to wrap my head around at first, because she is Grace's mom, who is so unsupportive of her daughter's homosexuality that she sends her to conversion therapy. And that is against every fiber of my being as a parent and as a person, and certainly my political beliefs. So when I finally realized that it's not that these parents don't love their children for the most part, It's that they love them so much, but they've been turned fearful because of the messages and the myths and the lies that they've been told. And so they're so scared that their child is going to go to hell that they'd rather turn them away than accept them for who they are and celebrate who they are.
Exactly.
So it was really hard for me to get into that until I found Sarah Cunningham from Free Mom Hugs online. And she was someone who did not accept her son at all when he came out, but she did her own education and realized she'd been fed lies by her church. And once she educated herself, she's now one of the biggest allies in the world. She's the founder of Free Mom Hugs. So, yeah.
That leads perfectly to my next. I was going to ask about, how you all have worked with Free Mom Hugs and other affiliate groups to work together on this and to make sure this film is getting seen.
Yeah, they've been amazing, amazing. Sarah and all the chapter leaders, and here in Canada, there's Free Mom Hugs Canada. They've just been fantastic for, Sarah, as soon as she saw the film, she just said, I'm on board, whatever you need. I didn't get to talk to Sarah during the filming of the movie. I was just fangirling over her. She just became my inspiration for Anne. And then after we made the movie and we started going on this journey of how do we release it and promote it, and then I wrote her a fangirl letter, and next thing you know, we're corresponding. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about that organization. If you are a parent of anybody in the community, just if you want to learn how to better celebrate your kid, or if you're having a tough time, get in touch with them. Those moms all, and dads and uncles, aunts, uncles, everybody's welcome there. It's very cool. And if you are a person who doesn't have familial support, they will help you find some chosen family. And some of them will just stand up for you at your wedding if you need it, because everybody deserves to have someone standing beside them.
That's great.
Jim, I just also want to give a shout out, because along this journey, whether it's venues like, Paul Conroy's, folks like you, this journey couldn't happen without these amazing local activists and groups on the ground. So there's Free Mom Hugs on a national and a local level, but then we'll find these great groups like the Orlando Center, where there was Prism United in Mobile, Alabama, where they like, what, would you mind if we did our own panel? And I'm like, no, because you're right on the ground there for your community. Your community needs you. So there's so many great resources out there, and it's been one of the privileges and pleasures of all of this, meeting great people like you along the way, and just trying to get this message of active allyship out there. Not I'm liberal, I'm an ally, but I don't raise my voice. I don't I don't not buy my fast food from this chain because they have LGBT. There's ways of being an active ally, and it's just, but it's been an honor, sort of finding these groups on the ground locally.
Yeah. As all three of you are producers, I mean, you've done a great job of really getting this film out there and getting it seen and working with other groups. But what is the ultimate goal in terms of trying to get distribution, or trying to get this film perhaps on the streamer? Where are you right now in that process?
Do you guys mind if I take this?
No, you're the best one.
Yeah. So here, I feel like, the streamers right now are sort of antiquated. It's like the three networks. They're like battleships that can't turn on a dime.
Yeah.
And you don't make a movie to just dump it to like Amazon for peanuts and have them own it for 25 years. You make it.
But we'll take it if it's a little more.
We'll yeah.
We're willing to negotiate, Amazon.
Yeah. Anyway, but we wanted to get this out there, and I started looking at the independent distributors, and I know you know a lot about this, Jim. There's bookers and people like Variants, and there's a lot of independently owned theaters that are really terrific. There's Violet Crown Cinema in the South. There's the Nickelodeon in South Carolina. There's all these great venues, Rodeo in Oklahoma City. I'm talking to one in Delaware. So we're making it available. It is available for PVOD right now on Gather, GATHR, and you can get that through our site, www.thistimefilm.ca. So it is available for anybody to stream, but we're also making it available to groups. If there's an LGBTQ group or an ally group that says, hey, can we do a virtual screening? We're in. We didn't put it on Gather at I think it's there for $4.99 because we just want to get the movie out there and have it seen. And it's sort of, in some ways it's like doing it backwards. We're doing this whole campaign. We've got it on Gather, and then we're going to do a platform theatrical with all these different independent theaters. So, I mean, it's funny. The far right have been doing this forever, but I don't need their brick and mortar church. You know what I mean? I can have virtual online groups, and we can have groups on the ground. And there's no reason we can't do this, and get a movie out there and just sort of do it ourselves.
Exactly. I am going to take a brief detour right now and fanboy myself. Charles Martin Smith, I mean, my DVD collection has you all over the place. It feels a little surreal right now. And I'm sure so many people ask you about The Untouchables and American Graffiti and Never Cry Wolf and so much else, but I'm going to ask you about one of my absolute favorite movies, which is Starman.
Oh, great.
Do many people ask you about Starman?
I get people asking me.
Okay.
Yeah, people. Speaking of movies that have an allyship theme to them, another kind of road trip, really, where you put two very unlikely characters together. That's with and then add me in as Mark Sherman, the one following. It's a really beautiful film, I think, and I'm really proud of it. And I think the best movie that John Carpenter directed, although he's known for all of his horror movies.
All right, so This Time is playing at Outfront Theater Company this Saturday at 7 p.m. Any closing thoughts about where you can see the film moving forward, or any other details you want to share before we leave?
Jen,
we did have on Allyship Day, which was on August 8th, we did a fantastic panel on allyship and how to be more effective allies. And that's also on our website, thistimefilm.ca. And that's available to stream for free. It's under resources, and then watch the panel, I believe. But I just think it's super important for anybody who wants to know more about how to be a good, effective ally to watch.
Okay. Well, great.
And you know what? I just want to say thank you for bringing us to Atlanta, Jim. Like, I mean, it's an honor. It's a hell of a city, and it's so diverse and rich culturally, and so.
I'll ask you something, Jim. Sorry to interrupt, Robert, but is the community, just from what I'm getting, I do our social media. So it seems to me like the community there is maybe small, but mighty. Is that true of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community in Atlanta?
I wouldn't agree with small. I think no, Atlanta's LGBTQIA public community here is pretty large. I think it's like the third or fourth biggest in the nation. It's pretty big, but it is spread out. There are a lot of people, but Atlanta is so spread out. I mean, you have a lot of people who live in Midtown Atlanta, which is sort of the gay hub. Then people living in the suburbs as well. So Atlanta itself is a big place, and gay people live everywhere these days. But it is a pretty big community. But I want to thank you all for having this film here in Atlanta. I'm sure people are going to enjoy the screening on Saturday. Thanks for all the work that you do. And I really enjoyed talking. Anything else you wanted to say before we head out?
No, we're just grateful to you, Jim.
Oh, great. Well, thank you all so much for making this film and for sharing it with us. And I'm sure audiences are going to really like it. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.